Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And I'm so sorry I haven't posted since like October, but hello, I'm back. She says back again, but she'll probably say back in like another few months. No, I'm totally kidding. I'm totally back. I'll totally have so many videos banked and ready to go. I'm trying to be on my stuff. So hello, welcome back to my channel, the channel that will be uploading more frequently. Yeah, so you guys have been asking for Toothless for like a year at least, so I'm finally making him, and it has nothing to do with the fact that I'm excited for the new movie to come out and was totally inspired to make him, and it just seemed to fit because everyone was asking for him. Totally not that at all. Totally not. No. So to start Toothless, I like to start off with the head and feet as always. To do this, I squish a piece of tin foil into a rough head shape that I'm going for, and I do this for a few reasons. The first being that it's going to save me clay, because clay is expensive and we like to save all that as much as we can. Secondly, it's not going to be as heavy because the tin foil is so light. And there won't be as much clay surrounding it, and so your head is going to be lighter and therefore less likely to fall over due to it being too heavy. It's also going to bake more evenly in the oven because it's a more even layer of clay rather than just a thick chunk of it, so it's less likely to crack and break off that way. So tinfoil is just a very good base to use when you're starting to sculpt. After I make a squished head shape of it, I just cover it in one layer of clay and I start shaping the nose and where I want the eyes and things like that. So you're just starting to move the clay around and adding bits here and there. References are very important during this step, especially for a well-known character like Toothless, because you want to make sure that you're getting his head shape correct. You want to make sure that his eyes are in the right spot, you know, the nose and just all his little details. And so whenever you're working on something, animal, person, movie, TV show character, whatever you want to work on, just make sure you have multiple references from multiple different angles, and that'll really help kickstart you in the right direction to get the sculpture looking how you want it to look. The glass eyes you see me using, I actually made myself, and I'm very proud to say that because it was like so difficult. Like so many people say, oh, I made my eyes, and at least people like in the art community that I do, they're like, I made my eyes, and you know, if you just do it on Photoshop and then print it out, you know, you'll be good. But oh my god, it is a process to figure out how to have it the right size, that it fits correctly, and make sure that it's sharp enough to look right. And it was just a process. I might make a video on it. That's pretty advanced stuff if you ask me. It might be easier for you guys just to buy pre-made ones off of Etsy or eBay, or if you bought like clear glass and you just painted the backs instead of printing something from Photoshop. So if you guys want a video like really badly, let me know. But like that's only like if you guys are probably like really going to be doing stuff like this, because otherwise I can't see you guys going through all this effort, because let me tell you, it is some effort. But I will admit the outcome is just really good. Like the depth that you can get with glass eyes, and the fact that they follow you, like they have a following effect. Like if you tilt his head, and you might see it in the video, if you tilt his head different ways, it looks like he's still looking at you. So it's just very cool. So So here you see me making the ears, the horns, ear horns. What the? I don't really know what you want to call his ear horns. I'm just gonna call him ear horns, whatever. Because he poses them around, it looks like he can hear with them. Ear horns. That's what I'm calling them. And I'm using just like a teardrop shape, and I really struggled oddly with these because I couldn't figure out where like the perfect spot for them was, because I was trying to be accurate to how he was, but also have like my own little kind of style like come through. So it was very difficult. I think I made them too long in the beginning, so I shortened them like a lot off camera and just trying to get them to look right. So when you start getting frustrated with something or you're not seeming to get it right, make sure you take breaks and just give it a second. Maybe go have a snack or something, or you know, if you have a dog, go play with your dog for a little bit just to give yourself a little mental break, and then come back. And usually when I take a break, I can immediately notice, okay, here's my problem, and I wasn't seeing it because I was too focused trying to get it to look right, and I couldn't see what the issue was. So me taking a break really told me that these were too long and they needed to be shorter. So I shortened them throughout the entire video and stuff. So just make sure, you know, you're going easy, because this is a long process. You can't speed up this type of stuff. You can't take any shortcuts or anything. You know, if you're going to be doing art like this, it's something that you're going to have to take your time with. And so don't try to rush it. Don't try to force it. Just take your time and enjoy yourself. The only tools, I realize like I always have tools on my videos, but you hardly see me using them because I'm so used to just getting by with like a little needle and my fingers. And so that's a testament to, you don't need tools to sculpt, but they do make it easier for you, especially if you're a beginner. I think I bought like a 4-pack for like $12 from Hobby Lobby. So if you guys are looking to get into that, you can probably find them a lot cheaper stuff, because sometimes Hobby Lobby likes to overprice their stuff, but we're not going to go into that. But just if you'd like the tools and you have the extra change, go for it, but don't think that you need them to do sculpting or anything like that, because for years I got by with just fingers and a needle. So God, let me tell you, adding his little scales all over his body was the most tedious process ever, and it also has like the best result. All I did was take the tiniest little bits of clay and roll them into little balls, and then just squash them on top of his face in the patterns that were on his face. So it usually goes from his nose all the way down his the middle of his head, and then he has it from the sides going down to his little ear horns, and then he has a few on his ear horns and under his eye. So just trust me, you're going to need a lot more than you think of these little bits of clay. Just do hundreds. I'm not even kidding, just do hundreds. You're going to need a lot. But the turnout is really nice. Like, I love the texture that it gives. I love how it just added so much more dimension. It looked more like him. And so don't skip out on doing this step if you are actually going to make a Toothless, because it just adds so much to his character. To make his feet, instead of using clay, because I knew they were going to be so small, I didn't want them to snap and break, I'm using Instamorph, which I have mentioned in previous videos. It's basically these little plastic pellets that you can melt in really, really hot water, so be careful, first of all. And you can mold them and shape them into something, and then when it cools, it's like a very hard plastic, so it's a lot more stronger. I have his feet and head attached to the armature. It's time to build up his body, and I buy quilt batting for this step. You can get it from craft stores, like I buy mine from Walmart, sells it, so it's very readily available to you. It comes in these really, really long sheets, and I'll cut those sheets into strips and then just slowly wrap them around the wire over and over and over to build up the body shape. You always want to build it up just a little bit less than how thick you actually want the body, because whatever fabric you're going to use is going to add a little bit of girth to it. So I've learned that if I didn't do that, then I ended up making the sculpture too fluffy or too thick or too fat or something. So I always learn to do it just a little bit less than what you actually want. And then when you add the fur or whatever type of fabric you're using, it won't look so chunky and it'll look the way that you want it to. To make the quote-unquote pattern for his body out of fabric, I cut a long piece. In this case, I'm using a durable felt. I cut it the entire length of the sculpture, and then I cut slits where I want the legs to go through. I'll push those legs through, and then I'll trim the fabric so it's nice and snug around the body, and then I'll sew straight down the middle. For his legs, I repeat the same steps. I cut a piece of fabric the entire length of his leg, and I'll trim it down to size, and then starting from the feet, I'll work my way up towards the body, and to join the leg fabric to the body fabric, I use a ladder stitch. Now it's time to paint Toothless and make Toothless look like Toothless. So because he's just a straight black character, he's very easy to paint because I'm just painting a bunch of layers of black. And don't worry the fact that I'm painting over his glass eyes. I'm just doing this because I want to make sure I get under all the little crevices around his eyes. I can simply scrape off the paint once it's dried. also paint his little feeties too, his little claws. I gotta make those black as well. It looks so cute. So to scratch off the paint, you can use a needle, you can use like a pointy toothpick, you can use a sculpting tool. I have an X-Acto knife on hand, and I just slowly scrape off the paint. I don't want it to go too hard or too fast, because then I could risk scratching the glass. But as long as you're going nice and slow, you can scrape off the paint and reveal the cool eye underneath. Alright, to make his wings, I took a long piece of felt and I stretch out the wire for his wing as far as I want it to go out. You really want to pay attention to this, because you don't want to cut the fabric out when his wing is when you pose it close, because then he's never going to be able to open his wing out wide enough and it won't look right. So make sure when you're doing this, you want to spread that wire out as long as you want it to be able to open. And then I'll trim the fabric down just above where the wire is at, because I'm going to be folding over a bit of the fabric over onto the wire. So you cut just a bit above it. And then I normally wouldn't recommend hot glue, but because I'm using such a high temp hot glue and the felt fabric is so porous, it just sucks it right in and then just doesn't move ever again. Hot glue is perfectly fine for this step. So what I do is I take a little dab of hot glue over the wire, and then I'll fold the felt fabric over it and hold it down until it cools enough for me to continue moving on. And then I'll just do this the entire length down all the way towards the body. And then I'll just sketch out the pattern that I want for the wings and then cut it out. And then it's pretty easy if you do it this way. It's pretty beginner friendly. I like doing it this way because it's nice and fast and it has a nice result, and I've never had an issue with it. For the fins, I just traced out the general shape in white pencil and then trimmed it down. And then I added little bits of felt to act like little spines inside the fin, just to make it a little bit more raised and give a little bit more definition. I thought it looked nice. And then once you add all the tail fins to his body, you can glue them on. I sewed them on. It's whatever really you prefer. Then he'll be done after that. And we can finally look at little Toothless. So 20 something odd minutes of this video. Wow, thank you guys so much for watching, especially if you've made it all the way to this point. He is going to be up for sale in my shop if you guys are looking to purchase Little Toothless. I'll leave a link down below in the description if you're interested. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys for sticking around and putting up with me taking so long. I'll try to be like way on my game more often this year. This year is the year of improvement. So just be looking forward for so much new content, so many more ideas. Oh, I'm gonna take you guys on a wild ride. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and until the next time, I'll see you guys later.